G'day listeners and welcome back to another episode of the Keeper League podcast. We're the AFL Fantasy podcast that doesn't talk about the superstars. We only talk about the lesser knowns and the players who are going to bring value to your draft and Keeper League teams. My name's Hef and today I'm joined by co-founder, former co-host, the People's Champ. Is that something we go by?
I don't know about that.
Kaes, how are you, Kaes?
I'm very well. How are you, mate?
Not too bad. Haven't seen you in about a month or so. What's been happening?
Not much. Just keeping it real.
How's the bye rounds been treating you?
Very relaxing. I haven't cared too much about footy.
What's changed from the normal season?
No, I just don't have to do so many setting on my teams, which is good. No, there've been a few leagues I've been playing through, which has been good. Keeping on my toes with some waiver wires open, etc., etc. So have kind of stuck at it. It's been a good little refresh. I'm ready to go again this week.
That has been my issue throughout this period is just, forgetting waiver wires and actually forgetting that I'm actually playing through one league as well. Mm-hmm. So I almost got sanctioned on the weekend for not setting my team.
Good, I hope you did.
In fairness, I set it during the week. It's just that I didn't account for the players that were coming back from injury. So I had everyone on field except for Dangerfield and Redmond. Because I just saw red crosses and I was like, oh, they're probably out still.
Yeah,
I forgot to check it again come the end of the week. So, I got in a bit of trouble in one of my leagues, but we got there in the end, so it was all right. I didn't get fined. I wouldn't have won anyway. So
you didn't get the W?
No, I wouldn't have won anyway. I think they would have added an extra 180 points, and I think I lost by over 300, so it was fine.
That's what the bye rounds can throw up some big results either way.
Yeah, definitely. We don't play through them. What's your reasoning?
I'll be happy to.
You're the commish.
I'll be happy to.
So I thought we were going to this year.
Our league just likes whinging and bitching, so it just would have been a waste of everyone's time.
I was under the impression that everyone wanted to play the buys and you're the only one who didn't want to.
I don't know if that's true.
No, that's just what I thought was happening.
Oh, look, it could be. I've checked out. I'm basically bottom. Things aren't going well at the chops, but look, it's now I'm kind of in this like mindset where I'm thinking about next year. I'm thinking about who I can palm off, who I can, grab, can I get some, picks up the board, et cetera, et cetera. So first time I've kind of been in this, with a month to go of our trade period being open. So I'm excited. We should talk offline, seeing as you're one of the premiership favourites this year.
I think I'm sitting third, and I think my team is probably third or fourth best in the comp. It's more so like there's a few injury concerns at other clubs and things like that mine don't really have at the moment. So it is going to hold me in good stead if they can remain fit and the others kind of do have those injury woes, I guess. But it's early days though. We still got a lot of the season to play up. I did look at our league schedule though, and I think I play all but one of the bottom. I only play one top six side in the run home as well. So I don't know.
Could it be the year?
Again, the second
yeah,
season.
But like the first year you kind of cheated, so.
Didn't cheat, got lucky. But
yes, thank you.
Looking back,
it's on the record now.
Looking back, the years following my players were better. They just were good early. That's all.
I've always said that you just need to be there come September.
We could actually see a rematch of that grand final this year as well.
So you and Dan.
Yeah. So could be interesting.
I know who everyone will be going for.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't matter. I could literally come up against, I don't know, Hitler.
Correct.
No, I wouldn't be the favourite. But anyway, let's get stuck into it. Oh, big week for me, Kaes.
Yeah, go on.
2 massive things have happened to me over the weekend.
Ken got sacked.
No, that would have. Okay. Oh God, that would have made my weekend. Yeah,
didn't miss that news. That's good.
That's the only one I didn't get. Saturday morning, got a message from Warnie just with a shared Instagram message.
The man.
It was Josh Giddey and Tom Mitchell playing footynumbers.com. Massive. All right.
Huge.
Chicago Bulls superstar. Hasn't played a game for him yet. But OKC, obviously, player. Just been traded. NBA superstar.
So have you slid into the DMs?
No, I haven't. I actually DM'd Tom Mitchell like day one of it coming out saying, I reckon you'd be into this. But no response. Ooh. But I know that Warnie did some setting up for me. So yeah.
Well, you know he plays it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, because he's a bit of a footy trivia kind of nuffy, Tom Mitchell, and he's already done like footy number content in the past, just not on an app type thing, just games and stuff with co-hosts on his podcast and stuff like that. So yeah, that was kind of the catalyst for it. So we kind of got it under his eyeballs, and then he made some content with it, which was pretty sick.
There we go.
But the second thing, got to mention on the Footy with Broden today, my favourite podcast.
He might be your hero, isn't he?
As well. I love that podcast. But yeah, got to mention there, nothing to do with anything that I do of substance, just about that tweet I put out about Josh Carr and the Ken Hinkley situation last night. So it got discussed. But still, I'm claiming it.
So Hollywood is actually Hollywood these days, which is great to see.
When was I ever not?
Once again, something nice to have on the record. It's just funny that none of this is actually from your fantasy knowledge. It's just purely just your
other things I'm
Paul
doing.
rants and your
Coding,
nerdy coding stuff.
Yeah, exactly. My love for my quest for knowledge in terms of coding. The other thing that could have been the trifecta, though, I lost the DT Shiva song contest.
Ooh, who won?
Came second. Siegs. So he's actually in my div in the DT Shiva as well. So div 26, 1 and 2.
So there's a genuine rivalry in there now.
Well, I don't know. I think he might be getting relegated. His song was "It Wasn't Me" by Shaggy because he didn't draft his team. He was over. It was 3 a.m. He lives in England, I think, and it was 3 a.m. So he gave it to a mate to draft his team. So the whole thing is, it wasn't me who drafted my team, but it was very, very funny, way funnier than my song. So it deserved to win. So yeah, that was the only thing that kind of stopped it from being a trifecta.
It's been a big week for Hef.
Exactly. Well, speaking of winners, there's got to be a winner of the weekly game day squad
spin
pack.
the wheel.
I can't see your name on here, Kaes. I'm sure
I feel bad entering.
Yeah. Yeah, especially
unlike
if
you, I don't rig competitions like this.
Especially if your name was drawn out while you were on. But
that would be handy.
Yeah, let's spin it. Let's spin it and see what comes up.
How many spins?
1 spin.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Oh, on the edge here. Soft tissues. Soft tissues is the winner. So soft tissues, if you're listening, get in contact with me via the socials or email. Confirm with me your identity, and I will send you the pack.
Only if you trade me a Jai Caldwell bronze.
Well, I might have one in the deck for you. I'll have a look at it after the show. Game Day Squad, though, huge supporters of this show. If you're not playing, just sign up and have a crack at it. It's so much fun. So many different competitions you can play. Now with the new Bronze League, you can get going from the get go and start.
Bronze League's a ripper.
Yeah, and putting in good teams and stuff like that. So well worth it. Check out Game Day Squad. Massive supporters of this show. All right, Kaes, let's keep this one short, sharp, and shiny. Bye rounds are like our rest time. All right, we get to do shorter episodes.
Yep.
Still deep analysis. It's just that there's only 6 games.
The deepest.
Yeah, so deep. But anyway, let's get on with the Carlton versus Geelong game. Elijah Hollands is now on the Too Good for the Podcast bubble. Now, Kaes, I reckon this is like your only good draft pick of this year.
Probably, yes.
How do you feel about this as an owner? Was this something you were expecting at the start of the season, or is this a bit of a dartboard blindfold moment and you've kind of got a bullseye here? What's the go?
Correct. Let's have even look where I picked him up. That'll be the bigger thing. But look, yeah, he's been playing some really good footy. At the start of the season, end of the day, the reason I drafted him, if we go back to that, like he'd kind of come off the suspension, like so he was kind of not going to be playing the first couple of weeks, and I think people were a bit concerned about where he'd fall in the the hierarchy at the Blues, but he was such a highly rated player when he got to the Gold Coast. We know he got there off the back of an ACL, took his time to kind of find his spot in the team, in and out. But the quality is always there. So it's just good to see him finally, I suppose, hit his straps at AFL level. So the dartboard throw finally pay off for me this year.
Do you know where it was? Have you got the draft?
I'm trying to get it up now.
The only thing about him I was always concerned about it was like the whole COVID year factor. Like no one actually saw anything of him. Like yes, he had the highest, I think, AFL fantasy average of the underages, or maybe of the first round, I think it was, from his underage year. But like I wasn't 100% certain that we hadn't missed something. Or you know how like in the last year of the NAB League, like 2 years out, like I remember when the prospectus used to put like the next year's crop ahead. Very rarely was it like the same guy, unless there was like a gun that was going to come, like Dacos we knew for years, like he was going to be the really high, and he didn't even go number 1 in the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but anyway, where'd you get him?
I'm talking in my 10th pick.
Yeah, so
that's nuts. So
that's been 12 keepers.
I think we roughly started. So my first pick was Warple, which was stinker. So that was his pick 52. So it was 120 left later. So like he kind of went 10th, 11th round.
Yeah.
So what would that be? 300th player kind of drafted.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's good,
especially forward midfield. Probably going to keep forward status as well,
and
be
the
a
pick
midfielder.
before was Jeremy McGovern. So I did my best work late. I definitely didn't do it early.
Yeah, so did I actually, because my first 2 rounds were Braden Campbell. Oh no, sorry, Cherry was first for me, which was fine, get 100 plus average player. But then you've got Braden Campbell and Connor Butterick, I think, as my next 2 picks in the league.
Yeah,
so
they've been stinky.
Yeah, most of my good picks were late. But anyway, that's where the draft is won and lost, I believe. Let's move on. Ollie Dempsey, 104 points. I love him as a player. Like, I think he's class, skillful, outside type though. Do you see him being a consistent fantasy scorer?
Glad you brought this up. Another one of my players.
Yeah.
So it's like you've written the show doc, you know, what you usually talk about all your players. So it's nice to talk about mine finally.
Only because my players are awesome. They usually pop up. That's all.
Ollie Dempsey, love him as a player as well. It's actually a question I've been thinking about watching the Cats a bit, because what I like about him is his size. Like, he's more than just, you know, like a small kind of forward, and it's probably what he can do in the future. Like, he's pretty good overhead. Could he be that hybrid, what we talk about a bit, the connector player who can, you know, push up the ground, maybe kind of play third tall, fourth tall?
So you see him as a forward more than a winger going forward?
Well, he's got really good skill, like
he
really
does.
good skills. He's a beautiful kick of the footy. He could kind of play a bit of both. I'd actually like to see if he's actually got any chops in the midfield. I think he's got a basketball background, like he was a former basketballer, so there was a, you know, category something rookie or whatever they call
okay.
it. So
Didn't know that.
he is a talented sports person. I reckon there's something in there longer term, because I just really enjoyed this season, how he's come in and, like, he's put together a hell of a season.
So fantasy tick for the future, you reckon?
Fantasy tick for
Okay,
me.
you heard it here first from Kaes. I'm still not sure. It's got to be role dependent, I think. And I don't know. He could end up being like, you know, your Blake Acres type winger who's like an 80 to 90 guy each year. A Josh Dacos guy is a 90 plus. He could be one of those guys.
Map wise, is he going to lose forward status?
I think so.
That would be the interesting one.
Yeah, he starts
Like-
a lot on the wing. Like, he starts at those centre bounces a bit. So
that would be the interesting call. But like, he's been super consistent this year, scoring wise. It's been pretty bloody good.
bit of a super coach revelation as well. Really, a lot of us picked him up as super coach early, and he made us a lot of money early in those days.
He's had 3 tons this year, a couple, 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good year for basically
It's just that, like, some of those bigger scores are on the back of like 4-5 goals, weren't they? And then this is his kind of first one since he's moved to the wing. Am I correct in
he's got
saying that?
100 against Hawthorn, no goals.
Yeah, okay.
100 against Richmond, 3 goals.
3 goals,
and then,
yeah.
a goal against the Blues on the weekend,
Yeah,
104.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
So
maybe there is something there.
I think he's I think he's got something. If he can hold that forward status, I think he's a keeper long term.
And for the Cats in this game as well, Sam de Koning, is there any future there as a ruckman?
Bloody hope not. Tom de Koning tout him up. His
did.
brother.
They
I
did.
can't believe they were doing that. And then our friend Toby Conway came out on the weekend and
Smacked
had
out a
38
ton.
hit-outs
Yeah, saw that.
in the VFL. I
It's crazy.
don't know what Chris Scott was thinking.
Nah.
I think Reece Stanley was injured, and they were just
Yeah.
kind of, he was trying to be a bit edgy and be a bit cool. But
Didn't Reece
it
Stanley play
backfired.
as well in the twos? I think I saw he had a 70 or something.
Yeah, he did 72.
So they played both of the ruckman in the twos. Like, this is what I don't get, right? I would have got it if it was like Blitzarves, Blitzarve rucking,
Yeah.
mobile ruckman, like, can run all day, can do the job. I would have got it. Why are you taking like your best key defender,
Well, he's
putting him in the
enough-
ruck?
It's enough back, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was reading a bit on Twitter that, like, they were trying to give him a shake up and get him back into form, but it just seems a dumb move.
Yeah, like-
especially because I think fantasy people might be aware of how well Tom de Koning's been playing.
Yeah.
But like, he's actually been in some, red hot form, and to kind of put a guy who's never really rucked up against him. Yes, I know it's his brother, and you're always going to get that
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was so weird.
sibling rivalry. But like, it was just a really dumb coaching move.
Yeah,
from
it
Chris
was like
Scott.
more of like a fairy tale story than an actual good coaching decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I dabble a little bit in what's it called,
Cocaine.
draft stars and
Oh,
stuff
sorry.
like that.
Yep.
No, I'm not a good boy. And when Stanley was out, I was like, oh, you got to have Blitzars in your team because he's going to be number 1 ruck.
Yeah.
Like, who else is rucking? And then you ruck bloody de Koning.
Yep, weird. Anyway, no, I don't think so either. I think right way, wrong way, Toby Conway comes back in.
Correct.
Next week. Port Adelaide versus the Brisbane Lions. What a game. What a day. It's the turning point. Like, I walked away from this game with my head held high.
Did you
Knowing-
make it to the end of the game?
No,
or did you walk
absolutely
out?
not. Absolutely
You're one
not.
of these people that there was, I don't know if you would have got it in the interstate, but one of the news outlets here in Adelaide filmed and walked with all these
I am
Port supporters
shocked.
who were leaving the ground, I don't know, 3/4 time maybe. It
I
was
am
great.
shocked I wasn't part of that footage. Like, I didn't see it, but it was about the time I was leaving.
What time did you
Absolutely
leave?
shocked.
Half time?
3/4 time.
3/4 time.
Yeah, I was done. I think I had a lift home with the missus who was in the city doing some shopping, and she was ready to go. I was like, I do not need to see any more of this, so I am out of here. But yeah, no, I feel like all the Port Adelaide supporters who were once, a bit iffy on me, thought I was, a bit crazy, thought I was a bit wrong, are now finally going, geez, Heff was right. He was right all along.
Vindication.
I feel so good about this. Like, I don't know. But the thing is, like, it's not about like being right or wrong. It's more about future of Port Adelaide finally having some hope for the future. You know, that's what this is about.
The big issue for me is, do you think they're going to pull the trigger before the end of the year?
Oh God, I hope so. It makes so much sense to give Josh Carr the 9 weeks or whatever to prove himself, because I don't love the idea of just handing it over to him without any kind of competition, without challenge, without like proper process, is he the best guy for the job? I don't just want a succession plan and him to just walk into it. Like, if he's the best guy, so be it. But he has to beat all the other candidates to win.
It's rare that the succession plan works too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think Goodwin is probably the only one that
Buckley
actually
was
worked.
pretty good.
Yeah, I guess. Almost won the flag there. But like, yeah, I don't want him to walk into it. If he's the best man for the job, hell yeah, he can have it. But like, he needs to prove himself. And I think it is the perfect way to see is getting rid of Ken now, putting Josh Carr in now, and giving him 9 weeks to see what he can actually do. The issue is, like, the Port Adelaide coaching panel is just all Port Adelaide. Like, it's like they talk about the Crows Boys Club a lot. It's pretty similar at Port Adelaide. Like, you've got your Chad Corns. I think Matthew Loby's our ruck coach. How the hell? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, all that sort of stuff. Like, yeah, it's very, very interesting there. I think we just need to clean out and start again with a new coaching panel. But anyway.
You've heard it here for the 50th time.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing new to I'm sorry I'm wasting your time again. Logan Evans had 75 points. So he could be this season's Dylan Williams from
Is that
now
a good
on.
thing or a bad thing?
Well, more so that in fantasy, mainly in classic, he was there for the long haul last year and made people a lot of money. But he could be that 70 type halfback flanker. I like the few things I saw from him. I missed a whole quarter of the game, but running off that halfback line, linking up with the midfield when we're actually one of the few times that we actually won the centre clearance. He linked up with the midfielders and all that sort of stuff. So for a first gamer, I got a feeling he may have even went to the school I teach at.
Okay.
I think that's what the guy said. But yeah, anyway.
It's interesting because I had a look at his stats this year and I tweeted, I think this score was his second best score for the whole year.
Like in
all football.
Yeah, right.
He's had 100, but he's had a lot of like 40s and 50s.
Yeah, right.
Like, and that's kind of why when I looked at him for, classic cash grab, I was like, it doesn't look like he's really got the game, but obviously seems like he can find the footy, which is good. And I listened to a fair bit of this driving back from the Barossa on the radio, and they were calling his name a fair bit early on, especially. So obviously knows how to find the pill. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know if you can trust it long term. One to watch for next week, but plays a nice role. Well, had a nice role for fantasy scoring. But yeah, it's Port Adelaide. Who knows? Onto the Lions. Eric Hipwood is officially too good for the podcast. Can you believe that? Yes, I cannot. Sorry, no, I cannot believe that.
Would you feel comfortable fielding him?
No,
each week
ever. No.
The only thing I'm liking about him at the moment is I think Brisbane are out to prove a point right now, and if that's the case, he could be getting on the end of quite a few. Well, he already is getting on the end of quite a few goals at the moment. They're in some ripping hot form.
Are.
Come up against Melbourne this week up at the Gabba, I reckon.
No,
is that correct?
No, we play Melbourne this week.
Okay.
Or we play Geelong.
I don't know.
We played Geelong this week, so yes, they do. They do play.
On Friday night, I think it is.
Yes, correct.
So that's perfect loophole if you don't play rolling lockout, all that sort of stuff. I think he could be in for a big second half, but more of like a loophole streamer option more so than someone I'd feel comfortable starting.
If he's playing Friday nights, it's the perfect loophole option.
Darcy Wilmot, we've been talking about him. I think
How's he not 2G?
He is now. That's 3 in a row. I'm pretty sure. Too good for the podcast.
Should be.
Do you think he's taking points off Zorko? Because Zorko had a big week the week before.
They have coexisted. I have him in one of my leagues, and he's been actually scoring quite well for some time. Not hundreds, but that kind of 70 upwards. And I think they can cohabitate, whatever it's called,
coexist,
whatever that word. But then I suppose, he's playing really hot footy. Does Zorko retire at the end of the year and Kitty Coleman come straight back into that kind of similar role? So is next year a bit of a question mark year? And, if you've kind of got 3 guys off the halfback flank who are 3 massive ball winners.
I don't know. I think we've shown that Kitty Coleman really battles to stay fit anyway. So he might, I don't know. We'll see how it works out. But I just never thought we'd see it from Wilmot. I thought it was going to be a quality over quantity type guy. But he's showing now and he's using the ball really well off the halfback flank. He's winning the ball and getting into spots to receive it as well.
I would very happily be an owner of him.
Yeah, right now, me too. How much do we take out of this game though? just a game that was an absolute pasting of an inferior opposition. But yeah, it's like Zach Bailey had a good score, Cam Rand had a good score, Calamachi had a good score. Like they're all great, but back it up before we get too excited.
They're all kind of pass options from me.
Correct. GWS versus the Sydney Swans. Is Finn Callahan still your boy?
Still my boy. He probably hasn't popped as well as I would have hoped for this year. I'm not jumping off the bandwagon at all because I think watching him actually play footy, he might have not like one of those real quality over quantity guys, but like he might have a bit more of that than some other young ball winners. But I'm confident that he'll come good potentially next year.
Yeah, I think at the moment he's playing a bit better with Callahan, with Cornelio out. Is that right? He's getting a few more CBAs and stuff like that. And that seems to be the trend. Like there's a few guys that pop in and out when Cornelio's out, but I think he's trending the right way.
Oh, he's definitely trending the right way, and he's a fantastic mover, a good user of the footy. So I think you can't go too wrong having guys like that in your side.
You're going to have like Tom Green as like the number one mid for a long time, but I think he's going to be a pretty reliable number two.
I'd hope so. Yeah. And it probably allows them. I know he plays a lot out anyway, but Kelly to be purely out. He's really got he's a bit bit more bustling.
What's Cornelio? Is he 30 plus?
Yeah, he'd have to be.
Yeah, and then Ward is just
he's
continually going.
Yeah,
he's going to be carrying the midfield pretty soon, I think. So Finn Callahan, I like it. Another one off the Giants, Toby Bedford, 87 points this week. Had the tagging role 2 weeks in a row. The one thing I will note though, like he got 87 points by getting a few possessions this week, but I reckon I saw him hit up the opposition 3 or 4 times in a row. So like he might be like told to like rein it in terms of his disposal, but I think as a forward, like you've got to take it if you got a forward playing in the midfield, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Like I think, just
especially if you can, play that waiver wire nicely.
Yeah.
Stream if possible, or loophole as well.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a few guys we'll talk about in the Bombers game who I can see similar kind of stuff happening. So I think you just got to strike while the iron's hot. Back him in while the role looks like there, and if you kind of get screwed over, say you're backing him in thinking it's going to happen again this week, it doesn't. At least you've potentially got someone with some runs on the board. Yeah, no, I like it as if any forward that's getting a run through the midfield, I'm grabbing off the waiver wire, that's for sure. Lockie Ash, 86 points. He's another one of yours, isn't he? He is.
I always get Ash and Callahan mixed up because you own them both and have always owned them both. And so I forget which is which, but Ash is
Lockie
the
Ash
halfback
has a sweet beard.
That's right. Yep. But yeah, first game back, he didn't miss a beat as well. So, especially in the single season, if people dropped him back to waivers and things like that, he's one you want to be looking at. And you think Taylor Adams is getting to too good for the podcast range? He's had another 80-plus score, playing the right role for the mid-forward to keep the forward status. When I was watching bits of this game, he looked really solid. Finds it, just as well. I think his, big 100-plus midfield days are definitely long gone. And I know he kind of went to Sydney to try and play some more midfielders. He was getting squeezed out there in Collingwood, but that's just not happening. But he's definitely proving himself to be a hard-working, half-forward flanker pinching in on that ball. So I think, with that forward status, I think he's a really good player for the next couple of years. Yeah, no, I think forward status is the key there. If he was a straight midfielder, you'd be pretty concerned. No, you wouldn't be interested. Kind of like almost, someone like Dusty, where yes, he'll bust out 100 every now and then, but you're probably going to get a 70 from him each week, and that's going to be fine. And he's probably not going to be most people's F1 either. He's probably going to be the F2, kind of F3 range. And there's a chance that especially now, as we're talking about before, you're coming into that premiership contention time. So, a team like mine who, say, owned him would potentially be off, looking to offload just because of his age and pick something up. So potentially, if you're in the window, he might be a player you could target just purely on his age. For sure. All right, we'll move on to the next game in a second, but just want to take a moment to say thank you to the Gold members. We are a member-supported podcast, and without Gold member support, it doesn't exist. So thank you to the following people: Doug Wicking, Ben Heaslip, Glenn Townsend, Gavin Higgins, Andrew Garrigan, Chad Truscott, David Hooper, Alan Jones, the radio guy, probably, Jared Long, Michael Chappell, Michael McKenna, Nick Kircher, Steve Walter, Matt Risley, James Hicks, and Pete S. Thank you to those people. And if you do want to sign up and support the podcast, we did get a brand new gold member during the week. They don't happen too often at this time of the year. But
I just knew I was coming on this week.
That's it. I'll read them out when they get to it. But thank you to that gold member who signed up. You know who you are. But if you do want to sign up, check the link in the description. There's a link there. And there's plenty of membership options to choose from. In return, you get access to all our website bonus stats and all that sort of stuff as well, analysis and that sort of thing. Let's continue on. Did you watch the Melbourne versus North Melbourne game?
Bits, and then obviously the last kind of 10 minutes as well.
Yes, it was a very exciting last 10 minutes. A great game. And I don't know, do you feel like North Melbourne are kind of, they're turning a bit of a corner?
I think they're probably just not as shit as they once were. Kind of the same with West Coast. I just don't think their bad is as bad as they were. But I think both weeks they've had opportunity to win. I know like the week before they were kind of a bit dudded by the umps, but, they had some really bad skills and, missed some easy handballs late in that game against the Pies where they probably could have won. And similar against the D's on the weekend, they probably had their chance if they just were a little bit cleaner. So I think they're getting closer, to being pretty competitive. And, realistically, if West Coast and North can kind of pick up their bottom end, we've actually got a pretty even competition where, on their day, anyone can actually beat anyone.
I feel like I would rather be North Melbourne or West Coast right now over, say, Richmond or St Kilda.
St Kilda don't do a lot for me at all. But, watching bits like this, like some of the stuff that LDU did in that last quarter was just phenomenal. I haven't seen him play with that much, I suppose, ownership and it was kind of a bit of that. Almost had the bit of that bond where he's just like, jump on my shoulders, boys. I'm gonna.
That's the sort of shit that like Supercoach, because again, I have no fucking idea how the scoring works, but I just like watch a performance like that and go, that's points. That's points right there. I think he got like 145 or something, but you just know that when he's shrugging off people, when he's like contested possessions, busting 3 packs, it just looks like points.
Oh, totally. And I agree. And it's the youth. Like if you're talking LDU, Sheasel, Wardlaw, McKercher, those kind of guys. Plus, like I'm a big Nick Larkey fan. Like he's been really good, and like even just what Charlie
Nick
Coleman
Larkey has been a turning, he's been one of the guys they've needed to get going. Yeah. And I think he's kind of starting to do that.
Yeah.
now.
And Common's been really good going back. Fisher's playing his part. Like there's a lot of, things that just seem to be starting to happen. Whereas I think Richmond, their kids aren't as good and they're going to be relying on Taranto, Hopper, longer than they should be. Cherry's been a really good, player this year for them too.
How's he, Kaes?
Yeah, I can admit my faults. I like some people on this podcast.
Biggest bust of the season, I think, was the call.
Look, someone's got to make some calls in this show because you must have a sore bum sitting on the fence all the time.
I just get everything right. It's way easier that way. All right, the first one, Trent Rivers, 110 points. Are you getting excited yet?
No.
Well, Petrarca's out, so I'm just going to move into the midfield. But and I guess Salem came off with the knee complaint. Well, you said tactical sub on the app, but he had ice on that knee. And he apparently went into it. I don't know, if Salem's not in, it's probably just Tom Sparrow that just comes in and plays midfield next week, right? Yeah. And then Rivers gets put back to the halfback flank.
Yeah, I love Rivers. Once again, he's kind of a player for me who's he's almost undroppable because his floor's so high, but his ceiling seems to be limited. It's fantastic to see him pull out a 110 game. And Salem's missed a lot of footy over the last 2 years, and that hasn't necessarily meant Rivers has been a 100+ defender. What happens with that Melbourne midfield? Oliver's off the boil. Viney not as going as well as he was last year. So maybe they actually do start trying some stuff, and does that give opportunity for Rivers, Sparrow, your boy Colton Tholstrup was pretty good as well in part.
So he's going to be playing the same role.
But. Yeah, no, but so there's a few more, and even we've seen the rise of Alex Neil-Bullen this year. Pick up a few more points. So maybe there is a bit of a changing of the guard at the Ds.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ds do throw a few more things around. It's just that that midfield mix just changes so often with them, so I'm just not getting excited.
Do we have any of the CBA stats from the Ds on the weekend?
Yeah, I've got them all on the website. It'd take me 2 seconds to pull them up. Is there anything in particular you want to look at?
What was the breakdown? Considering there was no Petrarca there this week. Let
me get it.
What are we looking like?
So, there you go. So you got Trent Rivers was
80%, the highest
so
after Max Gawn.
The second most used. Now, I think if I go to this one here, I can see the CBA differentials. So Biggest loser was Cozzy Pickett, who went down 47%, and Rivers went from 0% to 80% this week. Tom Sparrow got an extra 26% as well.
Van Ryan, a little bit of a bump for Neil
Yeah,
Bullen.
I would probably just be wary. Clayton Oliver was getting tagged to shit in that game, so they probably just took him out after a while.
I would have to watch that game a little bit closer than I was to make a real educated opinion on Rivers. But look, we're happy to see the next couple of weeks and see what happens.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him. He's a class user, so it'd be good to see him in there.
You mentioned Colton Tholstrup. He was my, there was like 3 or 4 200k rookies in Classic that someone had to jump on. He was my pick of the bunch. So he's the one I went with. I think it was a bit more. He's like 260, but 75 points was not upset with that. He's played the half forward role, worked up the ground. Definitely going to take a few years if he ever becomes anything, but I thought I'd just shout out, a good second or third game or whatever it was for him.
Definitely.
Decent performance. Now, Jai Simpkin, 81 points. Had 10 CBAs as well. I'm taking that for a guy listed as a forward at the moment. I'm still not certain about the longevity because LDU is obviously your number one. Wardlaw is just taking the leap in the last month and has become elite. And Phillips is back as a tagger and he's doing an awesome job. So, that's your midfield, kind of main midfield trio. Probably should check that through the North Melbourne numbers. But
Liam Shields as well, they just keep going back to the well with him.
Yeah, he's on the wing a bit, but he pushes in afterwards. Actually, yeah, so you got Phillips, Wardlaw, Davies Uniacke, all 6+. Simpkins got the 40%. And then you've got Sheasel getting 24%, Teakle doing backup ruck, and Powell gets that 12%. Yeah. Powell's the real loser in all of this, really. But, fourth banana in that midfield for Jai Simpkin. That means he's probably going to keep forward status. I'm taking that as captain as well. I'm happy with that at the moment.
And he's kind of got that forward class too where he can bob forward and actually kick goals in the right role. So not the worst if he can keep that centre forward status going next year. But
obviously in keeper leagues, people drafted him 2-3 years ago thinking he's, their top midfielder and going to be an elite scorer. But for what we saw at the start of the year in comparison to now, it's not the worst.
Cheese.
Yeah, it's not the worst result.
Yeah.
Let's move on to your Bombers. Top 4, going all the way, according to some media outlets. I can't remember who it was, but I thought, it wasn't going all the way. It was more so they have to finish top 4 from here.
No, we don't. We don't. We might win 5 games if we're lucky from here on in.
I reckon Port will win 2, maybe 3 max for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they might sneak out the 8.
Yeah. I think we're cooked.
Essendon's season potentially, not hinges, but we've got Geelong this week.
Yeah.
And we've got Collingwood, and then we've got Melbourne. Yeah. So if we can pick off 1 or 2 of Geelong or Melbourne, that will go a long way to us.
What I think, Porter had on 8 wins.
Finals.
We need to win, what do you reckon, 12, 13?
I think you need 13.
13 to make finals.
Yeah.
The only winnable, I say, was St Kilda. Then I think we've got so they've got the Crows later on, but that's not winnable. We haven't won a showdown in fucking ages.
Yeah, but that's what you always win showdowns when you're not supposed to win showdowns. It's the rule.
No, I don't know about that. 2017, so I just get belted by 100 points each time. But anyway, I cannot see us winning that 5 games that we need in the second half of the season. But anyway, we're not talking about Port anymore. We're talking about Essendon. Laverde, tip of the cap. Your 11 mark theory rings true again.
I invented this theory and I'm not getting enough credit.
No, you actually invented it for Tom Barras. You say when Tom Barras gets 10 marks, he scores 80 plus.
What did he have this week?
I think Dossie
actually had a fair few.
I think Dossie said that's every player in the competition.
Well, it's still a theory and it still hits.
Jake String, 119 points. Are you taking anything
Tom
out of
Barras,
5?
11 marks, 82 points.
That's what I mean.
The Tom Barras rule.
Every
player
who takes 10 marks is going to go.
Yeah, well, where's that? No one's brought that analysis up before. It's
because it's obvious.
It's genius.
Jake's, are you taking anything out of Jake Stringer's performance?
Jake's been very good this year.
Contrary, of course he has.
Yeah. No, he's just doing what he can do. Will he get 119 points each week? No. Will he play West Coast each week? No. The proof's in the pudding over the next couple of weeks. But I think if he can bob up, have 15 touches, kick a couple of goals, he's going to be a really good, scorer for the next, month or so.
Now, this is probably, I think, the waiver wire pickup of the week if he's out there. Sam Draper, 94 points. Now, what's the go with Goldstein? Was that just a late withdrawal? Is he out? What's the go?
They just rested him because he was in the coach's box. So he didn't play on the weekend. My guess is that they just kind of thought, fuck it, we're going to beat West Coast. We don't need to risk him.
Yeah.
They're playing both of those guys together. I don't love necessarily.
Yeah. Do you think they roll with one, or do you think it kind of maintains as like a partnership?
I just don't think you're going to drop Draper. So it's, are you bringing back Goldstein?
Yeah,
and I think you have to.
But you probably look better with one ruck, don't you?
I think so.
Yeah, it's a tricky
because then
situation.
then who you're dropping? You're dropping Harry Jones, who he's not in the show doc, but he played really well on the wing. Like, so then what do? You're getting rid of Peter Wright. Are you getting rid of Nate Caddy, who I'd love to see us stick with?
Yeah.
We're just not as versatile when we've got both because, obviously Goldstein's, 36 or something like that. Doesn't move that
But
well.
what do you think happens from here on in? Do they play two rucks or do they play one or the other? And if they play one or the other, who is it?
I would actually think if they're playing one ruck, I think they almost play horses for courses as to what the opposition is.
Okay.
So like we've got Brisbane this week, Oscar McInerney.
Play Goldstein.
Do they think Goldstein is a better
Or
fit
do you
against?
think Draper's going to run him off his feet?
Correct. That's
Okay.
that's what you're playing with.
Yeah, okay.
So that might be what they do. And I think maybe you go when it's Gawn in a couple of weeks' time, you'll probably back Goldie in to go against Gawn from I know he's a complete athlete, but do you just need a bit more muscle in the middle?
Yeah, to win those clearances, things like that.
Because I think if you're playing both, it really hurts your forward structure, which seems to be kind of working at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's my concern if we did play both.
Okay. Well, if Draper is going to be the number one ruck,
Mm-hmm.
then he's the number one waiver wire target. But if you think not, then maybe he's not.
Yeah, it's tough, and
It's just because
potentially
he's listed as a forward. That's the main
potentially
thing.
like it just kills Nate Caddy for this year, which is if that's what it needs to be, that's what it needs to be.
Yeah, I don't think Nate Caddy. I think Nate Caddy is going to be an absolute gun forward, but I don't think he's going to be like the catalyst for your first finals win in a million years.
Good if he was. All about that.
Xavier Dersmar, 87 points. He's on the Too Good for the podcast bubble also. I think he had an 80 plus on his last game before he got injured. I've got him at M7 in my side, and he's pushing the 80 average. I think he's up to 78 now. Like, expect fluctuation on that wing roll, but I think he's going to put up serviceable scores every second week.
Yeah, tend to agree. Like serviceable, nothing match winning, but once again, probably a guy who's got a really high floor for that role.
Xavier Dersmar versus Zerk Thatcher trade. Who wins?
We do every day of the week.
Oh, I 100% agree. Good win for Essendon there. Jamie Cripps, 95 points. 2 goals. We talked about him 2 weeks ago, I think, when Damon was on the podcast. Maybe it was 3 weeks ago. But he's serviceable. Would you like to rely on Cripps, though, in a West Coast side?
I think he's always been pretty solid.
Solid when West Coast were good, though. Like, I think when they're down and out, he pops up once every month type thing.
That's most kind of half forwards.
True.
Average team. I don't think it's just.
Hey, Jamie Cripps was a premiership forward in the Hoofers in 2018.
Hence getting very lucky.
He averaged 82 that year. That's pretty good.
Lucky.
For Jamie Cripps.
Lucky.
And the other one's Oscar Allen, 84 points. He kicked 2 goals, 4. Probably tip of the cap, but he is the captain. I'd hate to field a West Coast key forward on my side, though.
I like him as a waiver pickup if he's around. I picked him up in a couple of my leagues this week because I just think like he I don't think they're going to play 2 rucks again West Coast now either, with Williams and Flynn. Sorry, with Allen back and fit as of next week, I think he could be an astute pickup. The other couple that caught my eye, which aren't on the doc, I didn't add, sorry, but Harry Jones is playing on the wing, which was quite good. His work rate's really good, so obviously he's
Nick
not...
Cox got injured, didn't he?
He came off, but late, but they were basically sharing wings with Dersmar, kind of a bit of a 3-way rotation. So I don't think he's going to be a massive scorer, but like say you do need a warm body on the field if he's playing. He's got that forward status.
Forward playing on a wing.
Yeah. And Liam Ryan ran through the midfield.
Okay. Oh, I did see that actually. I will listen to it on the radio.
I would love to see the stats, but he only had 66 points. He had 19 touches, 6 clearances. He was actually quite good. He runs forward a little bit too much. Probably needs to work on that defensive pressure midfield-wise, but I suppose that might be part of their strategy, just kind of take and break out the centre. But Liam Ryan, 42% CBAs. So
he had 35% in round 13 as well. The thing is, it does coincide with
Tim Kelly.
No, with the draftee. Harley Reid. Harley Reid going. Yeah. Like it's just, I think, just chopping in for that.
But once again, one to monitor from both of them from waiver wire points of view. Where if you got a forward who's spending some midfield time, worth a play.
On to the last game of the round, Fremantle versus the Gold Coast Suns. Heath Chapman, 82 points. He's officially too good for the podcast. 3 in a row. He's always played the right role. We've talked to him for ages. The issue has just been like there's been like just when you think he's got a roll or he gets injured and then Aish goes back there and you're like, oh well, he's got his role now. But He's been scoring well the last few weeks, and he's kind of taken points off Luke Ryan, I think, a little bit back there. I guess I know he relies on the opposition kicking points and taking kickouts and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think from that halfback runner distributor, I think Heath Chapman's probably one of the go-to guys back there.
There's a lot of mouths to feed back there at Freo.
Yeah, it's tricky. But again, he's done it 3 weeks in a row, so we're starting to take notice, and the numbers are trending the right way. He's coming into his third or fourth season?
Fourth?
Yeah, I think fourth. It's about maybe the fourth year breakout's a new thing. Maybe Jai Caldwell. Actually, he's probably fifth or sixth, isn't he? He's been around for a while.
Fucking good this year.
He was drafted the same year as Jackson Haley, wasn't he?
One's playing VFL, one's playing really good AFL.
Exactly. Sam Swikowski, 81 points. Not getting the midfield time, but still putting up some reasonable scores. You've always been hot on Swikowski. Has anything changed for him? Or
He's had a bit of a slow start to the season post my article, which hurt my feelings, but starting to come good now. And I think probably that coincides with Fremantle playing some really good footy lately. Yeah. Finding that role. Well, I think their key forwards are really working well too with, Amos and Cyclone Tracy up there. So he's just kind of reaping the rewards of, some good probably delivery and pressure up forward.
Yeah. Like when you wrote your article, that was on the back of, I guess, his some good performance in the last 4 games he played last year.
And obviously Schultz moving to Collingwood.
Yeah, because he was getting midfield time at the end of last year. Not getting the midfield time, but I think what's encouraging is like he's getting that average up to 70, basically playing as a full-time forward, 1 or 2 CBAs in there type thing. Like one of those kind of scorers that you just take if, you take a 70 every day of the week.
This is one of the guys that you're targeting in your side if you're talking like your Jamie Cripps in your premiership year. Like, these forwards who people aren't probably going to keep really, like they're not, really desirable commodities, but they're going to be really good if you're, F4, F5's busting out a 70 each week. No questions asked.
Correct. Will Powers, the last one, came in after his suspension, 111 points. Looked like a new player off half back there. Sexton gets pushed up to a wing. We worried about anyone back here because I think Flanders went back into the midfield towards the end, but I think that was probably more of needing a spark.
We still turned up with 110 Flanders, I think. So I'm not super worried about that. I feel that he's probably the guy that I'm trying to who we could relate him to, like one of those guys who he'll just kind of slot back and take some kickouts, or like he's just kind of got free reign to do whatever he wants. I think Flanders. So I'm not really concerned about Flanders moving forward. Sexton would be a big worry. Obviously, even like a guy like Newland had a quieter week this week.
I think his scoring was flash and pan for the 2 weeks prior.
It's true, but if only so many people can get cheap ball on the half back line.
Yeah, true. And that's it for the round review. Thank you to the other gold members. Read here to Luke Dunstan,
former St Kilda and Melbourne player.
What the heck? Jared Hines. That was Jared Hayne then, but I wouldn't be supporting him as a member. Jared Hines, Toby Poynton, Jason Newell, Stuart McDonald, Travis Bray, Scott Berry, Jordan Newton, Rob Hancock, Pete Brown, Jason Shine, Tristan Fay, Drew Peacock. Is Drew Peacock? Is he a Fox Footy, Fox Soccer, Fox Football commentator?
League, isn't he?
Oh no, it's Adam Peacock. Sorry, Brandon Trump. Is that the ex-president of the United States?
Potentially, maybe it's his son.
That's Donald. Sorry, Shankul Mattal. Thank you to those.
No offense,
gold
Brandon
members. Yeah, sorry, we shouldn't compare to Donald Trump unless you're a mega fan. Then. Maybe that's a compliment. Who knows?
I'm out.
All right, on to the questions. Didn't get many this week, but that's okay. It's buy round. No one actually cares. P-Rex asks, thoughts on the Gold Coast back 6 with Powell, Flanders, Sexton. Can they all fit? And what does that look now and for the future?
Obviously be worried mainly about Sexton. I think, as I said, I think Flanders has got the rule to roam, I suppose, wherever he wants to. Powers has always been promising. I think he's still probably the main guy back there, post his suspension. So, everyone got real hot and heavy about Sexton at the start of the year, but I think as the years progress, that has slowly declined, and I think it will for the rest of the year.
A few things about this, like Powell, we've gotten excited about so many times before. Like put up a 100+ score. will score 60 the next week. So, like, that's one thing. Like, but he did
That's
look
what
good.
Sexton was doing at the start of the year.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like...
Yeah. I think with Sexton as well, they were like, we called this as soon as Powell went out. Because Powell went out, Sexton came back in. Now they're playing in cohesion. I think what will happen depends on what Flanders does, whether he goes back to full-time midfield. Did play most of the game with the halfback this week, though, as well. But then, yeah, Sexton still spent some time up on the wing as well. So, like, I'm worried for Sexton, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's over. It's just one of those things we're going to monitor and see what happens. But right now, it's probably just not looking great. That's all.
I just think when it comes down to which player do you want the ball in their hand, it's Flanders.
Oh, absolutely.
So, you know, and that's what it will
But,
be.
like, do you want that in the midfield or do you want that off the halfback line?
But I just don't think teams care anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, if you look at someone like Zach Merritt, how many, you know, posies would he get, you know, back of centre?
Yeah,
quite a lot when you're, you know, in transition especially. So, you know, and if Flanders has a big tank, he's going to work all around the ground and demand the ball wherever he is.
That's a fair point. Parch wants to know, is Nick Martin's days at halfback done? Bombers finally full contingent with Ridley, McGrath, Redmond, and he seems to shuffle forward and into the midfield. Seems to have also killed Heppel. You're the Bombers man. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him not on a halfback, I think, selfishly from a Bombers point of view. Yes, I think, as you said, Ridley, McGrath, Redmond, that complement is back. You know, we're looking strong with Mackay, Laverde playing really good footy. So I think Martin will probably spend more time on the wing, you know, into half forward. But once again, I think in a way, yes, he's not probably as, you know, statistically as good a user as someone like a Flanders, but I think he's probably another one of those players who's got a bit of license to roam, like, you know, your Caldwells, and Durham, they're, you know, in there to do the in and under tough stuff, so they can
both of those names.
So they can rely on, you know, Merritt and Martin to play a bit freer and get a bit more ball. You know, whereas they can rely on Caldwell and Durham to be a bit more defensive minded.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Yeah, I do think Nick Martin is better used for Essendon outside of the back line. Yeah, you're right. At DTomo5, another Essendon question. What are your thoughts on Sardis? He's considering trading him while he's in the Premiership window of a Dynasty League. Offers of Yo or Stewart on the table. Oh, I wish I was getting those sort of
I'd
offers.
definitely be taking those offers.
Yeah.
Look, he looks talented. I am concerned about what he is going to be in the next couple years. Two issues are, one, his body size. He still looks really too small for me.
Yeah.
Especially to be playing midfield, where that's where he kind of cut his straps as a kid. The other thing is, like, I don't want to get too ahead of myself as a Dons man, but, like, you know, we're playing pretty good footy. You know, we've seen the rise of Caldwell and Durham, but we've still got to fit Darcy Parish back into that side, you know, in 5 or 6 weeks' time when he's fit. Like, what does that do to the midfield mix? You're not going to throw in a Sardis on top of that. You've got Setterfield, who, you know, can't get a game at the moment. You've got Dylan Shew, who can't get a game at the moment. You know, if we are pushing for finals, I think those two guys, you know, in the depth roster are going to be ahead of Sardis purely on their, you know, body size. You know, Perkins is playing good footy. So I think for me, if you're in the window, I'd be taking this because I still don't see Sardis really playing his role properly for another couple of years.
Yeah, well, even like as a junior, he put up big fantasy numbers, and that's why people love him. But he was playing as a winger, you know. Zane Dersma played, you know, wing forward, put up huge junior numbers, and I just don't think we're going to see it from, you know, when they come to the senior level. I just don't think we're going to see this similar type numbers. I don't see an inside. I don't see him as an inside player yet, Sardis.
No.
He's got the skills to be one.
But
does
even
he have
the wing,
body?
you know, we've recruited Xavier Dersma,
Exactly.
who's playing really well.
Exactly.
You know, Nick Cox and or Harry Jones are playing that other wing as that kind of
Jake
tall,
Kelly,
weird
Jake
hybrid.
Kelly plays it. Like they all kind of. Dyson Apple plays it, I guess.
And I don't necessarily hate it. Like, you know, yes, he's a high draft pick, sure, but like sometimes you got to make kids work and you know, work hard for that position. And if he's going to have to play a year in the VFL to do that, to, you know, cut his teeth, that's can only be good for his development.
That's it. Anyways, let's wrap it up there. Thanks, Kaes, for dropping in and doing the show. We'll try to get you back in a month or so once I get through the rotation again. I've got school holidays.
Tom Mitchell or Josh Giddey coming up?
One of the two. I'll put the feelers out this week and see what happens. Got school holidays coming up, which means I can get the guys who can only do during the day. I think there's 3 people that prefer during the day, so I'll get those guys in because I can do it during the day, and then we'll continue on afterwards. That so I don't know. I need to send some messages out this week and see who's keen. I was operating on a schedule. I had like the whole month lined up, and now I'm kind of just
You're winging it.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard to get people to commit that far ahead.
It's
you know?
hard when you're this famous and like, you know.
No, it's very easy because everyone wants to come. No, it's just
Whoa.
hard. It's hard to just, are you good in...
This is what actually Hep is like in real life.
Are you
It's
good?
finally nice that he's starting to come out on the podcast after all these years.
Are you good to record in 4 weeks' time? Like, who knows? You know what I mean?
Mate.
So, anyways, get around footynumbers.com. Get around...
Many facets of the game now too.
There's going to be another one coming this week. I might actually make some content with you about over it as well, actually, to put out this week. But yeah, another new feature coming out on footynumbers.com very soon. Look to the socials for that coming out. Support the podcast, become a member, get around us on our socials, Keep a League Pod on all of those. And I think that's pretty much Get Around Game Day Squad, our sponsors.
What's actually been funny is that your little video about Ken's and his jumpers has been coming up on Twitter organically too.
Which one, sorry?
Yeah.
No way.
One more. Yeah,
Still
like
popping up.
random people are just posting it, like not retweeting.
Yeah.
They've like saved the video and posted it themselves. I've seen like 3 different accounts.
Yeah, right. Coming up again.
It's a resurgence.
Yeah, well, that did have a couple 100,000 plays, so yeah.
That's how you and Warren created that love.
That's how we became friends. Anyway, yep, that's it. Let's stop talking shit.
Okay.
See
Good
ya.
night.
Bye.